can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It is your boy Ernie, the Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. If you want to see more amazing videos like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any videos. And also, if you click that like button, not only will it help me find more listeners like yourself, but also will make sure that YouTube always recommends new videos just like this one right to you. That said, we're going to be talking about Avengers number 18, written by Jed MacKay with art by Valerio Schiti, color by Brian Valenza, and letters by Corey Petit. This issue is one that I was kind of glad, not gonna lie, I was kind of glad this issue went the way that it did. And what I mean by that is, and I actually talked about this in the previous issue, there are a lot of people who just automatically assume because Storm was joining the Avengers that she was going to be the sole reason they were going to be able to defeat Hyperion, which, if you are unfamiliar, Hyperion is a sardonic version of DC Comics Superman. And I talked about how I don't think she's going to be the difference maker in taking Hyperion down. Yes, she's powerful. Yes, she is a goddess and all that entails, and she has taken down very powerful people in the past, solo dolo. However, Hyperion is on a completely different level, and I pretty much said, yeah, as much as I would love to have that yes we can energy in this particular regard, there is a fine line between standing and lunacy. And I knew that was not going to be a thing. And anyone who actually thinks that I was wrong in that regard, well, this issue basically just kind of settles all that. Honestly, this issue is not about how they punch the problem that is Hyperion, it's how they de-escalate the problem, because they recognize Hyperion's, well, yes, what he is doing is incredibly out of pocket. He's not the bad guy in this. And Storm, while she doesn't defeat him with punches, she does, in a roundabout way, kind of help sell the idea that maybe they should find a different way to take Hyperion down. And it's not even really just Storm. Captain Marvel felt this way as well. And the idea and kind of more of the reasoning behind why the Avengers don't want to harm Hyperion in an effort to try and save the Earth, they recognize, thanks to a very unlikely source, that being Blade, a guy who right now is persona non grata with the Avengers right now, even though technically many of them are keenly aware that he was not the one who was actually responsible for the events of Blood Hunt. Yes, Varney was wearing Blade's face. He was literally piloting Blade's body, but at the end of the day, Blade wasn't the reasoning behind this. But the reason why Blade is so instrumental in this, it's actually because Blade was the only person, even at the beginning of that storyline, who remembered the previous timeline prior to Mephisto's meddling. And once that reality had been taken down, the Heroes Reborn reality, Hyperion kind of became, for his universe, what Blade was to the Earth 616 universe. While Blade remembers both Earth 616 and the Heroes Reborn timeline after returning everything back to normal, Hyperion still remembers Heroes Reborn, and he is lost. He has no place, and that's why he's doing what he's doing. But the Avengers actually figure out a completely different way to tackle the problem, and it's kind of a bit of Storm helping out by putting the Avengers in contact with Quinn Quire, aka Kid Omega, an Omega level telepath, as his name might imply, and he works in concert with Scarlet Witch, using her, which I don't know if you would call her abilities Omega level, but I mean, she's not a mutant, but in terms of magic and sorcery, I mean, she's up there, so I guess you could say that as well. And with Sif's ability to see throughout the universe, they're able to figure out a way to take Hyperion down, and it's in a way that I thought was pretty cool. They basically send him to another universe where he actually will feel like he can make a difference, because at the end of the day, that's all Hyperion really wants. He just wants to make a difference. He doesn't really care about, like, yeah, sure, he misses his universe, but now he feels rudderless, and he is now in a world where heroes, I mean, there's plenty of them. No one really needs Hyperion, though. I think one could have actually made a case for making a place for Hyperion on the squad. I actually think it might have been the better idea, but I mean, I think what Jed did was not a bad alternative by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, he is sent to a world, one, that the Ashen Combine had run roughshod over, And basically the ship that the Avengers, this sentient ship that the Avengers are now using as their base of operations, effectively takes him there and leaves him to his own devices. That said, the other major issue of, well, this issue is that Storm is joining the team. So that is now 2 Thunder Gods on the Avengers, and it's starting to look a lot like how the X-Men were going to look back during the Krakoan era, when the prospect of Sunfire and Firestar sharing space on the same team looked like a possibility. And it wasn't, and that's kind of what happens here. It's not going to be a possibility. Thor is going to be kicking rocks. I actually saw some people online who might have misread this, but I did see some people that acted as though, oh, you know, Thor's salty that Storm's on the team. No one is really salty Storm's on the team. Like, even Black Panther, who has more of a reason than anybody else on this team to be salty about Storm's presence on the team, even he's not all that beat up about it. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be weird because they're no longer in a relationship, but I mean, outside of a little bit of sulking here and there, even T'Challa is taking this a lot better than Thor, and that's because Thor doesn't have a problem with Storm being on the team. His problem has everything to do with what has been happening to him in his own solo series, The Immortal Thor, which, if you haven't been keeping up, basically the long and short of it is, Thor has been framed for murder, and yeah, he's just not in a good place right now. That's it. You see, at the end of the day, in Immortal Thor number 10, the Enchantress murdered Dario Agger, aka the Minotaur. And while technically Dario is back, yeah, all of that got laid at Thor's feet. And because of the fact that Dario Agger is a public figure, and despite the fact that he's a villain, he is pretty well known in the Marvel Comics universe. So right now, Thor just has that going on, and he needs to get that whole scenario cleaned up before he feels comfortable being amongst the Avengers. He doesn't want to drag them into it. This has nothing to do with Storm. Thor and Storm get along incredibly well. I would even dare say better than most Avengers. It's just one of those things that you don't think of it very much because we very rarely ever see these characters in the same room with one another. Even when Storm is incredibly angry at Thor for one reason or another, they still get along better than most people because Storm is just that down to earth when it comes to dealing with other people like Thor. She is a god, he is a god, they recognize each other, and yeah, it's all fun and games. And he even passes the torch, recognizes her station as a god, something he has done on multiple occasions, and he feels that the Avengers still need a thunder god, and they will have one so long as Storm is there, even if he is not. Like, yeah, I think people need to calm down. I think people are getting a little too ahead of themselves in regards to, you know, how they're looking at this situation. I think right now Storm is in the best position humanly possible, to be a part of this team. She is amongst people who actually see her as valuable to the team, based on everything she brings to the table. Just the simple fact that Captain Marvel, the leader, the chairperson of the Avengers right now, was more than pleased to have Storm on the team, not just because of their history, but because of who Storm is and what she represents. And she knows that Storm is going to stand 10 toes down on business for the Avengers, no differently than she would for the X-Men. She's done it before, she's going to do it again. I don't see a problem here. But anyway, yeah, there's really nothing else to speak of. I actually hope that Hyperion, at least in regards to Hyperion, I actually really hope that maybe we see Hyperion again. I still feel like, once again, I'm not saying that what Jed is doing with this is bad. I think that's a missed opportunity. We could really use someone like Hyperion on the squad to get that redemption story going. And granted, it's not to say he's not going to get a redemption story. He is. It's just that it's going to be one that I'm worried we're not going to see play out. Like, it's going to be something that either, maybe flash forward a few years, and maybe we might get a mini series talking about Hyperion, and maybe we'll get some mentions and nods of it. Or, who knows? We might luck out. Maybe he will come back. I mean, this is Jed's story to tell, so I'm willing to let Jed cook on this. I wish that we would have invited him on the team. Though I know, like, the prospects of that would be kind of weird considering what he was attempting to do. But considering the fact that other more famous Avengers have been invited to the team after being whole ass bad guys, yeah, I don't see how this would be all that different. But anyway, if you want to see some more awesome videos, check out this one that I got right here. I had a really awesome conversation with Declan Chauvet, who is the writer of the upcoming Mystique series, as well as the upcoming Terminator series. And yeah, go check that out. We have a really good conversation. We talk a lot about Terminator, talk a little bit about Mystique. Go give it a look. But anyway, keep it plus ultra until next time. Peace.